What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, a video that I believe many people have been waiting for today. We're going to be talking about a serviceable point guard that can come into this Chicago Bulls team and ultimately make a fairly big difference, I would say, for us in total. And today, I want to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies guard, the backup point guard to say the least, in Tyus Jones. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about Tyus Jones, and do you think he will be a serviceable, good quality point guard for the Chicago Bulls to have? Now, at the end of the day, I can understand why people like Tyus Jones. Again, I think he's become a little bit of a fan favorite for this Bulls team, and he's not even a Bulls player yet, and there's no guarantee that he will be a Bulls player, but people like this guy, and I completely understand why. Because in my eyes, the way that I see things about Tyus Jones is that he does a little bit of everything for a team. Someone that can score well, someone that facilitates very well, someone that does play solid defense, and just a very good quality point guard to have on a team. And Memphis having that guy as a backup point guard, it's a very, very, very big step for the Memphis Grizzlies. You know, they should feel very happy with a guy like Tyus Jones, and I'm definitely sure that they are. But this is not necessarily about the Memphis Grizzlies, but of course, you know, he is a Memphis Grizzlies player, so we will have to discuss that a little bit as well. But looking at his statistics, he played around 80 games for the Memphis Grizzlies, which again, it speaks a lot to the Chicago Bulls problems. We probably want someone that's going to play a lot more games than miss action. I think that's probably another reason why Bulls fans like Tyus Jones, is because he's most likely going to be available to play. His season averages were around 10 points per game with 5 assists per game as well. And again, his shooting percentages were solid. His defensive numbers, I believe, were solid. Just overall, a very good quality point guard. Now, a couple of videos back, I did say we don't need a superstar point guard on this team. We don't need a Damian Lillard. We don't need a Trae Young. We don't need a Kyrie Irving. Whatever other point guards you can think of. Yes, of course, it'd be nice to maybe have some of those guys on this team, but I don't necessarily think that's going to solve all of our problems. At the end of the day, I think a point guard that could do a lot of things, doesn't have too many weaknesses, but ultimately is not going to be someone that's the superstar of the team, is a guy that I can most definitely trust as the point guard spot. Whatever direction we go down, if we get someone like a Tyus Jones or someone like a Damian Lillard, for example, whatever outcomes may happen, I'm prepared to live with those results. But Tyus Jones is someone that I would absolutely like to have on this Chicago Bulls team. Again, someone that has that quality as a backup point guard. In my opinion, it's someone that would want to start. And of course, you're not going to be starting over a guy like Ja Morant, who is an MVP caliber player. Now, granted, Ja Morant seems to put himself in all sort of circumstances, doesn't he? All sorts of trouble. The amount of trouble that he gets into, I'm genuinely stunned. I've not seen a guy like Ja Morant for a long, long time. You don't usually get superstars or players like that in general, like Ja Morant in the modern era. You know, it seems like everybody kind of follows the same mold, tries to be, I guess, within the standards of the NBA, the rules of the NBA and stuff like that. I've not seen that for a long time. You can maybe argue a guy like Dennis Rodman was someone that just lived in his own way, you know, stuff like that. And look, in his time, it was probably more acceptable than how it is now. But I'm not here to say my opinions on Ja Morant. I have my opinions. I'm going to leave it at that. Because, of course, there are many people that have their opinions on Ja Morant. But he's putting himself in a lot of trouble. So, again, you know, maybe it's not out there as a possibility that Tyus Jones could eventually start for the Memphis Grizzlies, especially if Ja Morant's going to seek a heavy suspension. We got to take that into consideration, because the only way the Chicago Bulls can get Tyus Jones is via a trade for the Memphis Grizzlies, because he's 27 years old, first and foremost. For those people thinking that he's very, very young, he's getting to the age where he's probably going to be entering his prime years very, very soon if he hasn't already. So that's something we've got to be aware of. He has gotten better every single season. Another thing to be very aware of. But for Tyus Jones, you're going to have to seek a trade. And what type of trade will happen? Because he will be an unrestricted free agent in 2024, meaning he will have 1 year left on his contract. Now, when it comes to 1 year deals, I get very, very nervous with trading for guys like that, because there is no guarantee that a guy like Tyus Jones will stay loyal to the Chicago Bulls in the long run. There is no loyalty in the NBA. Now, I think we could provide a lot of things Tyus Jones would want. I think he would want to be a starting point guard in the NBA. The Bulls can offer him that because Lonzo Ball's not coming back anytime soon. If the Chicago Bulls believe Tyus Jones can do that job for the Chicago Bulls, then of course Tyus Jones would probably want to accept that type of role. And he'll also be on a team, of course, with a large fan base, large organization, and you never know, we might be a good team next season. We just don't know at this point. But if you think about it as well, when it comes to someone like Tyus Jones, it reminds me very similar of how I feel about Kobe White. Kobe White, towards the end of the season, was averaging very similar numbers to Tyus Jones. Playmaking numbers rose. Obviously, points per game rose. And a guy like Kobe White, he's been saying it. He wants to start at the point guard spot for the Chicago Bulls. He wants to start in the NBA. So I feel like these two definitely, they remind me of similar things in many ways. Both players playing off of the bench, trying to do their role, both of them probably seeking starts in the NBA. So look, all I can say is, if Tyus Jones does get traded to the Chicago Bulls team, and I do think it's going to take a little bit to get someone like Tyus Jones, but if he does come to the Chicago Bulls team, I would say, well, he's got a year to hopefully see how things work in this team, and hopefully he can commit his future to us. That's what I want from Tyus Jones, but I'll always be nervous. Very similar to how I feel about Nikola Vucevic. The fact that we could be losing a 17-10 type of player that, you know, yeah, granted he may be a little bit older, but for nothing, it's something I don't like. I don't like losing players for nothing unless there's a clear plan behind letting them go for nothing. And I don't know any clear plan about Nikola Vucevic if we let him go or if we keep him. I don't know any of those things. And for Tyus Jones, I'd feel the same. If he was only going to come here for one season, not commit his future for the Chicago Bulls and leave in the 2024 free agency, then I feel like we've wasted a lot of time trying to get this player in just to not commit to him. So unless Bulls fans consider him a rental deal, which I don't think Bulls fans do, I will be worried about making a trade for Tyus Jones. But to answer the question, would I like Tyus Jones? Absolutely, I would like Tyus Jones. Again, we need a serviceable point guard to come into this team and make a big difference. I think everybody that watches Tyus Jones knows he's the player that can do that for the Chicago Bulls team. Knows that he could be a guy that can run this team. Knows he can be a great playmaker. He can be a good scorer. And overall, the way that he plays, I think will suit this Bulls team to a T. I think he would make us so much better, in all honesty. I really believe so. I still don't think he'd make us a contender like a top 4 or a top 3 team in the East. I think we need a lot more than Tyus Jones to do that. But we needed a lot more than Lonzo Ball, in my opinion, to stay there as well, in my eyes. So, again, it's someone that takes us to the next level. It's someone that puts us in the right direction. And of course, I'd want a player like that on this team. So we'll have to wait and see, but I won't lie to you. If we do get a player like Tyus Jones on this team, I will be worried about the long-term future of him with this Chicago Bulls team. I genuinely will, because we don't have great luck in terms of keeping free agents or even getting free agents. We don't have great luck in that department. So every time free agency comes around, I will be worried about people leaving. So we'll have to wait and see. That's my honest opinion on the Tyus Jones situation. After looking at everything, looking at his contract, obviously looking at how good he has been as a backup for the Memphis Grizzlies, and knowing that their record with Ja Morant is very, very good, of course it makes me want a player like Tyus Jones. I think it's very easy to say I want Tyus Jones, because everybody probably would, and I can guarantee you we're not the only team out there that wants a player like Tyus Jones. So be in mind, we might be in some competition to go and get a player like that. But all in all, if he does come to the Chicago Bulls team and he doesn't commit his future to this Bulls team, I can't sit here and say I won't be worried about that. And it's something that I think the Bulls need to be very aware of. You will be taking a risk with Tyus Jones coming into this team. It could be a short-term deal, a short-term rental deal. Maybe that works for them, because Lonzo Ball will probably come back within, I guess, 2023 or the 2024 to 2025 season. My apologies. Lonzo Ball may very well be back, and then obviously the Bulls can have their hope of running it back when it's all said and done. I don't know. Maybe that is their game plan, to get a point guard for the short term until Lonzo Ball can come back. But again, it's a risk. And every game the Bulls play right now is probably a risk. Every decision they make will probably be a risk. So it just depends on which risks are worth taking, which risks are not worth taking. I guess we'll have to leave that up to them. But thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully I did this video justice. I know a lot of people are just so excited when they hear the name Tyus Jones. I understand. Again, Very similar to how people feel about DeAndre Ayton. Don't think I won't make a video about him again. I will, because I know a lot of Bulls fans are still thinking about DeAndre Ayton as a center for the Chicago Bulls, and I understand where people are coming from. There is a lot of excitement about talking about potential prospects. It's very similar to how I felt about D Rose in a couple of videos ago, but I think D Rose is much less of a risk, in all honesty, than Tyus Jones. But of course, Tyus Jones will probably be the better player overall in their stages of their career. I'm not comparing players, that's not what I do, but again, it is going to be a risk, and we need to be aware of those risks, and we need to be aware that getting a player like Tyus Jones can hurt us in the long run if he doesn't commit his future. I guess trading talent away for him, it could be a problem for us, but we'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, if all we have to do is give up a couple second round picks and maybe a player in return, people might not feel so worried about that. It might be worth the risk for them. It just depends on what we're giving up for him in many ways. Or maybe, just maybe, the Bulls don't go after him this season and they pursue him in free agency. That could be a possibility as well, because I think it's more likely of a chance we get him that way than we do via a trade in my eyes, because, you know, we can still probably offer him a starting point guard role, and in the end, we could probably offer him more money than what he's making now. If he wants to refuse that and go to a different team, well, that's up to him. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in this regard. But again, if you have any suggestions on any other players, let me know in the comments below. I'll give you my honest thoughts on the whole situation. But Tyus Jones is a great player. That's all I'm going to say. We'll leave it at that. Of course, you want great players on this team. All that being said, have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.